Hello guys, so today we are going to be looking at fundamental aspect of things we are going to anticipate for the coming week. On Monday, we don't have anything relating to Euro or GBP or USD, but from Tuesday, we are going to have our just job opening, our consumer confidence, Spanish CPI, ADP non-farm payroll, which is always an important news, the USD federal funds rate, the FOMC statement and press conference, which is the most important news. The most important news, because what Powell says in this news is going to actually, you know, guide us towards what we're going to be anticipating in the long run. Because Powell's statements on Wednesday will matter a lot. Was he dovish? Was he slightly dovish? To what extent? And then all of that. Does he open the floor to like a rate cut for the coming meeting? Does his response when it comes to journalists asking him about political pressures from Trump and all of that, it really matters a lot. Like, this is the big guy for a while. Like, this is going to be the biggest news leading into September. This will open the floor to us deciding which news will now become one of the bigger news. For instance, from what happens during the FOMC press conference and then sentiment release and all of that, we now lead us to understand, are we going to pay more attention to to NFP, CPI? What are we going to be paying attention to? Are we going to be paying attention also to the trade negotiation on tariff and all of that? So this will open up a whole new, data set to be looking out for. So this is the bigger news that we introduce the bigger news. So I don't know if that makes sense. So after that, we'll be looking at NFP, but regardless, I just feel like NFP is actually going to matter a lot. Unemployment rate is also going to matter a lot. So I don't think this week is a week to actually engage in the market per se. So, but if you ask me, I would be anticipating a dovish. So let's see what's going to happen. So I'll be anticipating. So if we have this on Wednesday and then Friday we're having our NFP, I don't think this is a good week to actually like enter the market. If I'm going to enter, it's just breeze in, breeze out kind of positioning. Now when we look at EU, we're going to be looking at the trade negotiation and data. So more focus will be on the CPI and then the PMIs, because prior to this we're anticipating rate cuts due to weakness in service sector, but the improvement we are seeing so far is weakening the argument. So there is a risk of, we're looking at a possible cut by September from ECB, but we're having a risk of a possible hold depending on what the data from henceforth is like, and then a little bit trade negotiation, a little bit. So let's see, but more on data. So from here you're looking at the PMI service, we'll be looking at CPI. These things are very, very important for us to decide whether the ECB is going to hold for September or give us their final rate cut for September. Although the most probable is a rate cut, but there is a risk of a hold. So these are things we have to actually look at. Lagarde actually said that monetary policy is in a good place. So let's see what happens from here. So this is it about the fundamentals. Now let's head on to the sentiment aspect. Now looking at sentiment, nothing much here. When you look at seasonality, it's still us looking at a bearish dollar month. So if we are going to start having some bullishness, we're looking at August or ending of this July, which you're already in, and then you could see that some kind of strength is kicking in dollar technically. But what is that going to be sustained? We are going to actually look at fundamentals and all of that to know whether that will be sustainable or not. So let's look at the next thing after this, which is our COT. So before we head on to the COT, I would like you guys to see This I know that I don't preach for this. I'm not for this, but like everything actually works. Just your ability to understand the fundamentals and able to position alongside with fundamental, no matter what you do, no matter what you draw, it actually does work. One of the things I admire so much that works a lot is the resistance and support levels. These things work like magic. There's a psychological aspect of it that makes it work marvelously. For real. There's I've studied a lot, so I understand these things. There is a reason why it works. Now, based on what happens during the FOMC and the rest, can now determine whether this level will actually be maintained to take out this level. And if this level is taken out, now we can actually start looking at stuff like this. Actually start looking at going down to around 94 that actually always been advocating of. So we might actually start going to this level. Now, but the fundamentals maybe breaking towards here when I could start seeing market going to like 103. So you can see when this level was broken, market maintained its move, but maybe probably didn't get some targets. I don't know. I don't trade this, but you could see how most of these things actually play out. Just understand the fundamentals. Someone else might actually, maybe when this happened, could actually draw some funny levels. Maybe draw some level here, from here to here, and then start selling from it based on fundamentals, and then the person will still be right. You get, so no matter what, understand if you are sinking in with fundamentals, it's working. Now let's look at the COT. Looking at the COT is still giving us some dollar strength vibe. Sincerity, dollar is oversold to an extent, not because you can't really determine what is really oversold, but in comparison to few months like a year, and that you can say, okay, for over a year worth of data, US dollars has been oversold. You get, but you cannot really say it's oversold when the fundamental aspect of it is not really showing that it has been oversold. But like technically, COT wise, it's really oversold. So we have to now start looking at, okay, value value now determine whether have really been oversold or not. So now on the data front, that is what we're now going to be waiting for to determine whether, okay, are we really oversold, or there are still more value that we're here to tap in. So markets would actually maybe keep selling USD until we attain that. Now, if you look at what Trump was saying at the point, he was talking about how he loves a weak dollar, that it's good for business and all of that. We all know that, maybe probably not we all, but if you really want to start exporting, start selling your products, a weaker dollar is better than a stronger dollar. That is why you see some countries like yuan, they try to maintain weakness because they are net exporters. But the moment your currency start getting strong and strong and strong, you cannot really export. You become more of a good importer. So I believe Trump is trying everything possible to like weaken the dollar. Maybe he's not even doing it consciously, but maybe just favoring him, because I don't know. I don't know if he really knows what he's doing or not. But let's say he knows what he's doing. That might be his plan to weaken it. But you can't weaken the dollar beyond a particular level. Like weakening it beyond the 90s is something I'm not seeing happening. If it start getting to like somewhere around 95, 90, we'll start seeing market wanting to reprice that, because it has been a long ass time that ever happened. Been a very long time. You see, this is like 2021, and the last time we actually got like below 90 was 2021. And then from there you could see how dollar kept on strengthening and strengthening and strengthening and strengthening. The last time we ever got towards that level again was around 2018. So they might be able to maintain it running from the 90s to 103, 105 probably, or even beyond that. But every other country doesn't want a stronger currency. At a point, if euro gets to a level where it's getting too strong, they would like to weaken it. So everybody is just in this competition. So with that, I don't think dollar is going to maintain this weakness for a while. Otherwise, euro might suffer, pound might suffer. So because too much strength is not always good. That is why, if you listen to Lagarde, she was saying something like, when they were asking her about the euro strength, she was like saying that okay, it's more like it's not really a concern yet, even though it impacts inflation, but for now, that's not really their concern. But at a point, it will become their concern. So these are the things you actually have to understand going into this market. Understand the fundamental aspect of this market. Understand what really drives the market. Understand macroeconomics for you to really understand, okay, this is how things are shaping out. This is how things are shaping itself for now. And then whatever you use as your technical entry or whatever, you can align yourself with the bigger picture. Now let's look at the technical aspect of things. Now on DXY, the weekly time frame would notice that CP has aligned to the bearish side. That is bearish DXY, and we are already at a weekly order block reacting from a weekly bearish order block. So I don't know, might be a rangy week, but I'm not seeing a rangy week. It just depends on what the fundamental. So when you see weeks like this, you just know that you need fundamentals to actually break a resistance level, for you to not determine, okay, so we're going to overall. So fundamentals, you need this week actually to direct us more when we are on where we are going to. Now if we look at our euro, we would see that euro CP has turned bullish, sorry. And the weekly perspective, we have an order block here that's formed here. We have this bearish order block also the market is in, so we actually need these fundamentals to actually like break towards a particular side. So but I think even if we get to here, this is the highest place we're going to get to. There'll be a maximum resistance except fundamentals aids in breaking it further. But if fundamental comes out in the other side, we're going to take this as a support to actually break through this level. For GBP, CPI has aligned towards bullishness, even though it's the weakest of all, reacting from this weekly fair value gap. So well, let's see what happens. Are we going to get here, or are going to this week is just fundamentally driven. This week is just that week that you cannot just come and say, oh, technically everything technical can fail. Like it can really fail. Now going on to daily time frame, you see that daily time frame is already aligning bearish CP. So we're in a daily order block. Then we have this daily order block. So even if we get up here, there's this resistance, So like just need fundamentals are very important. Very important for this week. Now if we go to euro, we see that euro is not really as bearish as GBP. But we'll have this FVG here. Now if we are supposed to actually be bullish, we might actually come back here and then go up to this level, even though I'm inclining towards bullishness on euro, but I can't really incline to that technically now, because technically we're not seeing candlestick psychology like aligning towards that direction. So for now, technically we are still bearish on euro and GBP. In fact, more bearish in even GBP. On DXY, we are technically bullish, but fundamentally, for now, like without the data coming out and all of that, I might be still leaning to euro strength, but I would be stupid to do that actually in real life, because we need this data to actually now determine what we're going to lean towards. So for now, I would really say I'm going to be more neutral. think I'll really say that I'm going to be more neutral because I don't have that fundamental data interpretation to actually back what I'm actually saying now. So I'm more neutral to actually, if I can actually say, okay, I'm going to now align towards this side or this side, but technically now we are still bearish euro. So, but we need fundamentals, then the price will now align with it and then can ride through. If we look at DXY, we see that technically our CP has aligned towards bullishness. So we have this level here, and yeah, we'll actually just wait for data to now confirm to us who are going to be going overall, and then technicality to now align with the fundamentals and all of that for us to now say, okay, this is what we're heading to. So, but for now, we're just going to be data dependent, just as the ECB are, just like potentially USD might become. So we have to align with the overall market sentiment and perception. So I think that's it for now. So let's see what happens during the week, and then we'll see again during the weekend. Go check out my videos, my study videos. Most of they'll be coming out gradually. I have most of them already recorded. So follow me to keep in touch with the videos I'm going to release to see how I actually approach the market. As you can see, week in, week out, we're always accurate on our expectations. Why? Because I know what many people don't know. So follow us, subscribe, like, and then go watch my video on candlestick part 1, technical analysis for beginners. So more are going to be rolling out. I'll also be talking about CP as time goes on, the approach, the psychological aspect of it, and every other thing. So I'll also be talking about fundamentals, how to spot important news, how to understand where the market is going to head to with time. This is going to be like with the span of months. So it's not, I'll be releasing a video every two weeks or three weeks depending. So you have to subscribe, like, and turn on the notification button. Thank you very much.